Children of billionaires, quite simply, live in an entirely different world. They never want for money, they never have to worry about going hungry, and their parents are among the most powerful people on the planet. At the same time, they are not their filthy rich parents. In many cases, they are expected to forge their own paths in life, rather than simply coast off mummy and daddy's billions. Making a name for oneself is a challenge no matter who you are, but it's a trifle easier for these affluent heirs and heiresses. After all, if they fail, they have the world's cushiest safety net to catch them. And this safety net will likely never ever go away. Here now are how the children of 10 billionaires live their incredible lives. It's possible you've not heard of Saif Ahmed Belhassa. He's one of those billionaires who largely avoids the international spotlight, at least as much as the multi-billionaire chairman of Emirati industrial conglomerate Saif Belhassa Holding can avoid a spotlight. His son, on the other hand, rather enjoys putting himself out there, and so do his millions of fans. Rashed Belhassa is the 17-year-old offspring of Saif Belhassa, and as far as his personal life goes, that's about all we know. He's a pretty private kid, to the point where we don't know if he has a girlfriend, boyfriend, or simply prefers the company of cats. We do know, however, that he is very rich and loves to show that off. In 2013, Belhassa joined social media, dubbing himself Money Kicks, and immediately started posting pics and vlogs showcasing his ultra-luxurious lifestyle. This lifestyle, by the way, includes owning over 400 exotic animals, over 200,000 pairs of high-end sneakers, and multiple expensive luxury cars. You can never accuse this kid of being humble about his God-given ability to be born rich. Clearly, people liked following his opulent lifestyle, and Money Kicks' follower count rapidly rose. He currently boasts 1.6 million Instagram followers and 2.2 million YouTube subscribers. But Rashed isn't just a popular YouTube kid, he's also an entrepreneur. In 2016, he founded an online clothing brand called, naturally, Money Kicks. There, he sells sneakers, backpacks, clothing, and other swag designed to make you look just as cool as Rashed, though not nearly as bottomlessly wealthy. Chances are the computer you're watching this video on can be traced back to Bill Gates. The founder of Microsoft literally changed civilization with his company's products, so it makes sense that he's currently the second richest man on Earth with a net worth of over $107 billion. His 23-year-old daughter, Jennifer Gates, has lived a blessed life as a result of her father being the Microsoft guy. She went to Stanford University, graduating with a major in human biology. When not being studious, Gates is also a prize-winning equestrian. A horse girl since she was age 6, Gates has competed in many a show jumping competition and practices on a $37 million estate her father purchased for her several years back. She's competed against the rich daughter of Bruce Springsteen, the rich daughter of Steven Spielberg, the rich daughter of Michael Bloomberg, and the rich daughter of Steve Jobs. Gee, it's almost like horses are a super expensive hobby or something. But don't think Jennifer Gates is some spoilt brat who's got it completely made for life. Her parents worked to raise her humbly, forbidding her from having a phone until she was 14 and enforcing strict limits on screen time around the house. Think of that, the founder of Microsoft telling you to get off the computer. That's like the CEO of McDonald's forcing meatless Mondays on his kids. As for all that money, Bill Gates plans to donate most of it to various charities upon his death, leaving his children with a minuscule portion of his fortune. He wants his kids to make their own money and forge their own path. That's admirable, except the man is worth $107 billion. Even a minuscule portion of that is more money than any of us will ever see in our lives. Say he wills 1% of 1% of his fortune to Jennifer. That's still $10.7 million in her pocket. That is a lot of horses. Hi, Apple founder Steve Jobs' daughter. We were just talking about you. The 21-year-old Eve, yes, Steve named his daughter Eve, lives a life that reflects Jennifer Gates, the daughter of her late father's rival, Bill Gates. Both went to Stanford, with Eve set to graduate within a year or two. Eve is also an award-winning horse jumper, and her mother also purchased an enormous multi-million-dollar Florida property for her daughter to practice at. Right now, being a college student, Eve Jobs' future is in the air, but her father always envisioned her doing big things. Once, he claimed Eve could grow up to run Apple herself, or be President of the United States. For now, though, she's living the simple life of a girl whose father helped build the phones at least half of you use every day, and whose mother is a successful investor worth over $20 billion in her own right. Romance-wise, Eve is playing it safe and palling around with a fellow horse person. Her boyfriend is Mexican equestrian Eugenio Garza Perez, which means neither of them can accuse the other of spending too much time around their favorite horsies. We won't bother introducing Tiffany Trump's father because you already know who he is. You likely also have an extremely strong opinion on him, but let's instead focus on his daughter Tiffany. She's the Trump you're least likely to see help her father run the United States. Tiffany Trump was born in 1993, the only child of Donald Trump and Marla Maples. Growing up, she was often in the spotlight as a rich socialite in her own right. She even released a pop single in 2011 entitled Like a Bird. Considering her singing career never made it to a second song, apparently the bird in question was a dodo. Tiffany drifted even further into the spotlight once her father announced his candidacy for president. Even so, she's never been an official member of his administration, nor does she often speak up on her father's behalf. The closest she's come to doing so was during the 2016 Republican National Convention. There, she described him as someone who always helped me be the best version of myself. Since her father became president, Tiffany has focused on studying law at Georgetown University. She sparingly appears at White House events and typically only as moral support rather than the active administrative roles her much older half-siblings have embraced. Overall, she seems intent on staying as private as someone related to Donald Trump possibly can. Hi, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg's daughter. We were just talking about you too. Georgina's father, one of the richest businessmen in the world with a net worth of over $58 billion, has blessed his daughter with a grand life. However, she didn't always appreciate it, especially when working as a teenager to build her own brands and her own name. Naturally, she always found herself compared to her famous father, which aggravated her to the point where at age 19 she flat out said, having the last name Bloomberg sucks. Now, a wise 34, she no longer feels that bad about being a Bloomberg, mostly because it turns out embracing her family name hasn't hindered her personal journey in the slightest. Like Jennifer Gates and Eve Jobs, Georgina is an accomplished equestrian, though one who realizes it's not always affordable to pursue show jumping. So at age 23, she started a charity called Rider's Closet, designed to help equestrians afford to pursue their passion. Her animal-centric philanthropy doesn't end with horses either. She regularly partners with the Humane Society to promote animal adoption and champions animal rescue as well. This sometimes involves taking matters into her own hands. After Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, Georgina chartered her father's private jet to get stranded animals out of there. See? Being a Bloomberg doesn't suck after all. Blue Ivy Carter's parents, Beyoncé and Jay-Z, are hip-hop's golden couple, with plenty of gold to back them up. With parents worth over $1.2 billion, Blue won't be financially blue anytime soon. We don't know much about the 7-year-old Blue Ivy's day-to-day life because her parents designed it that way. Beyoncé, in particular, is fiercely private and secretive to the point where her fans didn't know she had a Snapchat until she and her daughter randomly posted a snap online. That said, between touring with her mother to appearing on songs recorded by both her parents, we've actually seen a fair bit of Blue and know quite a bit about her personality. She's apparently a really good ballet dancer and has sass for decades. At just 4 years old, she realized the paparazzi were following her. She turned around, wagged her finger at the shutterbugs and yelled, "No pictures!" Needless to say, nobody was brave enough to take pictures. She's also a budding fashionista with incredible makeup and clothing style she clearly inherited from her mother. In fact, the two often dress similarly or thematically. If that's not enough, she's already an award-winning songwriter. Technically. She won a Songwriters Award at the 2019 Soul Train Awards thanks to her vocals being featured in Brown's Skin Girl from the Lion King soundtrack. It's not like Bob Dylan writing Like a Rolling Stone all by himself, but we've all got to start somewhere. What kind of person will Blue Ivy Carter wind up being? There's no way to know that for sure, since she's barely in the first grade. But one thing's for sure, her life won't be dull. Peter Brandt is a businessman and film producer whose fortune has climbed as high as $1.5 billion and as low as $500 million, and is currently sitting pretty at around $800 million. But while a card-carrying member of the Billionaires Club, he sired two boys named Peter II and Harry. These two live extremely public lives of posh socialites, regardless of how much their family is actually worth. Simply put, the Brandt brothers are hot, sexy, and rich, and they know it. Much of their public image is centered around how fabulous they are and how fabulous their lives are. They spend much of their time partying, enjoying art and cinema, and hanging out with other ultra-wealthy socialites. Unfortunately, this fun and parties all the time lifestyle sometimes devolves into incidents, like the time in 2016 when a drunken Peter II found himself arrested for belligerence at an airport. The brothers' 2014 photo shoot with supermodel mum Stephanie Seymour, where she wore revealing clothing and her sons posed with her as if they were her young lovers, further raises questions as to how exactly the Brandts were raised. That said, they're older now and attempting to make real names for themselves. In 2015, the two partnered with makeup line MAC to create a unisex line of makeup. The goal, of course, is to introduce both boys and men to the wonders of makeup. It's not exactly chartering a plane to rescue animals from a disaster zone, but we're guessing the Brandts are too rich to care about our opinions. Chances are you've used a Dell computer at some point in your life. 26-year-old Alexa Dell, daughter of billionaire computer mogul Michael Dell, thanks you for your purchase. As a child, Alexa and her siblings pursued many different passions, as their parents were keen on them forging their own paths in life. Alexa did just that, dropping out of college in 2013 to pursue a career as a growth consultant. In less fancy terms, she helps businesses be better at business. Her main thing appears to be dating apps. She works as an advisor to Bumble, the dating site where women initiate the conversation. Before that, she actually dated the CEO of Tinder, whom she met on Tinder. Imagine the scandal if they swiped right on each other through OkCupid. Alexa is no longer with the Tinder guy, nor is she actively on any other dating app. Currently, she's dating a millionaire real estate investor named Arshia Harrison Rafua, a billionaire father and a millionaire boyfriend. No wonder every hint of her on social media screams living her best life. Michael Jordan is one of only 3 billionaire athletes in history, and his daughter Jasmine is absolutely following in his footsteps. Not basketball though, we're talking about the other thing Michael Jordan's famous for, sneakers. In her personal life, the 26-year-old Jordan is a sneakerhead. She owns hundreds of pairs that she stores at both her home, her father's house, and her mother's. Her business life is sneaker-centric too, as she works with her dad as a designer and field representative for the Nike Jordan brand. If that's not enough, her second job sees her working with the NBA's Charlotte Hornets. You get one guess as to who owns the Hornets. When not working, Jasmine Jordan keeps a rather private life. Much like her famous yet elusive father, Jasmine prefers to stay at home with her family than live a crazy socialite life. But she's not a complete hermit and will sometimes venture out into the public eye. Luckily for her, she'll always have a great pair of shoes for such an occasion. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, has a cool $69 billion to his name. So, from the start, his 36-year-old son David has had the ability to do whatever he wanted, however he wanted. As it turns out, what he wanted was to make big, expensive movies with big, expensive explosions. In 2006, David founded Skydance Media. Starting in 2010, the company began working with Paramount Pictures and hasn't stopped since. As a producer or the executive producer, Ellison has helped bring the world such blockbusters as True Grit, G.I. Joe, Retaliation, World War Z, 2 Star Trek films, 2 Terminator films, 2 Jack Reacher films, and 3 Mission Impossible films. If you've chowed down on popcorn at a theater this decade and weren't seeing a Marvel movie, you probably saw something David Ellison helped create. When not making movies, Ellison is making flight patterns. He is a licensed pilot who can fly helicopters, commercial airplanes, multi-engine aircraft, and aerobatics, aka those cool trick pilots at air shows who fly upside down and do fascinating loop-de-loops. In short, for a guy who could have just coasted off his father's 11-figure fortune his entire life, David Ellison has done a ton for himself. Even if you think his big-budget explodey movies are pure garbage, you have to admire that kind of drive.